We have an interview tomorrow. We have some.
Oh, wow.
We have someone in mind.
Yeah, a promising candidate.
We have another Nicholas.
The last person was our favorite of this round, so we haven't spoken with him yet. We do, Ryan was, I think, is our second choice, right?
Oh, resume one.
Yeah,
Resume one.
well, we interviewed him.
Yes, but interview-wise, he was first.
Well, so
Until
far,
the
so
top-
far.
until the top resume guy comes in, so.
Oh.
So,
Nice.
That doesn't always-
we're at least making
We're learning.
2 offers. We're ranking
Yeah,
2
doesn't
high
mean
enough.
You're gonna take it.
Yeah, yeah, good to have
Oh,
a
this is around C, so I think we have the bargaining.
Yeah, definitely.
End of the rope.
Nice.
Some unique candidates.
This whole group?
Yeah, I think this is the group. I can let the people on the phone know who's here. It's Karen Jiggs, David Len, Greg, Nancy, Todd, and John. So, just fit here.
Awesome. Well, I apologize for crashing the party. I know there's sort of a well-established routine here. It so happens this is the best opportunity to engage with the King of Prussia Labs team. So I just wanted to touch base with everyone in the room, share a little bit of news in terms of organizational evolution, and quite honestly to ask for everyone's help. So I think most folks have heard or have a sense that incubation has been going pretty well, and that Vertex is actively looking to scale up our investment in incubation over the next 5 years. Lots of decisions yet to be made, but the initial forecast showed a pretty significant ramp. It would probably be like 4 times the investment level we are now, 5 years out. So there's an expectation we're continuing to grow, continuing to invest more externally in teams and ideas. And I think folks know the labs area is like the glue that holds all this together, right? This is really the culture of incubation at Vertex. A lot of external partners that come in, a lot of external entrepreneurs that we want to invite in. This is kind of where our group's held. I think the other reality is we're going to have to do a lot of work to bring ideas in to pay off that growth. We've done a nice job so far. David has carried a ton of water in fostering ideas, connections, and bringing things back. I think folks have seen Len sort of slide into that role in a number of occasions. I'm actually quite impressed by the work that Len's done there. So I've asked him to focus exclusively on that going forward, to step back from the day-to-day work of running the labs team. If I do that, this is where the ask comes in, sensing that the team's running pretty well. There's a good level of maturity and self-organization here, that folks can step up a little bit and continue to drive things. Len's not going away, still here to advise and consult, but trying to focus him more on building external partnerships, gathering ideas externally, and also building some of the promising university partnerships we have going on. I have asked Karen to take a little more active role in some of the day-to-day administration of the labs team, kind of looking over keeping things organized. I will commit to be an escalation point, be as involved as is useful, though I'm kind of smart enough to acknowledge my limitations there, so I'm going to lean in when invited. I will handle the administrative kind of people reporting stuff. More than happy to support everyone in the room in that capacity and on the phone. But really looking to continue the momentum we have. I do have a backfilling process. I hope we'll find a really stellar talent to bring in. Just talking about a new Nicholas, we'll be looking for a new Len. Hopefully someone who's got some nice perspective can really bring the group forward, help add to what we built here, take it to the next level. So I kind of wanted to get everyone at once. I'm going to mention this at the all hands meeting, just so it's kind of more broadly known in our community. I kind of wanted to get here first, to socialize it a little bit. I did ask Kevin West to lean in a little bit too. He's been involved, I think, some sharing with, looking at the threshold monitor. I think there'll be some other opportunities for Kevin to help out. I think folks know that, we focused the Sarasota Labs team almost exclusively on web workbooks since what seems like the time of the dinosaurs. We try to hold that out because we think there's an interesting market opportunity and there's a chance to move that in as a line extension to the performance zone. But the reality is, that team's capable of providing a lot more support and help. So Kevin's going to be working actively to, find spots where folks can contribute, providing some leadership oversight to it as we bring up new projects and need some help. Any questions? Any concerns? I know in a perfect world I'd have the backfill locked and loaded, this be smooth. I think given where we are and the need to be ready to scale next year, I'd rather be a little aggressive, ask folks to step up a little bit, and just ask that we all support one another. I could imagine, communications may, miss here and there, or may have a little bit of confusion. I just ask folks to, kind of work through that. I will do whatever I can to, keep things going smoothly, provide whatever support's needed to make that happen.
So what are the characteristics of an external hire that would make it good for the lab's leader role? Because I know, some people here put their hat in for that. And ultimately weren't chosen. So I'm wondering, internal versus external. What are the attributes?
I think open to both. I'm intrigued by the idea of an external hire, David, only because our experience with this kind of work internally is so fairly sparse at Vertex. We're learning. We've done a tremendous job learning, but ideally I'd like to complement that learning. So I'd love to find someone we can bring in who's led an innovation function or labs team. There are a lot of companies experimenting with this. The ideal candidate would be someone that's pretty closely aligned with what we've done. Someone that's done a lot of lean development, someone that's worked in a dynamic environment. We don't have a super strict hierarchy of teams and projects here. We try to let folks flow. I'm proud of that. I think I hope it makes the work more satisfying, but it certainly makes the work kind of progress easier rather than having a lot of administrative overhead. So I think some domain experience, in this specific discipline would be really desirable. And you never know. I mean, look, Len was like a web development manager when we identified him. I mean, it's that experience may be sort of elsewhere in the org, kind of hidden. So no restraint on hiring an internal candidate if we find the right one. My thought is someone with a good track record of experience, kind of running an innovation labs function would be pretty nice.
Are you looking for a director level here, or is this a director level position?
A senior manager level position. The idea is this is a fair sized group in terms of not just the people, but the budget and the external relationships. And it's one that we expect to grow a little bit. Realistically, just to set expectations, we probably want more of the growth to come in, external investments. Think like as the IOUs get bigger, we're going to have to put more and more budget into them to help them grow. So I don't want a giant labs function, but I think, look, this group's done an awful lot with a pretty lean set of resources. I think, I don't know, you slim down, way down, and then you can put a little more weight on to be comfortable. I think there's room to grow this function a little bit too. I'd like to see that happen as part of the overall program. Thanks, Todd.
Could try to poach Elliot from Lean Startup.
Yeah.
Well, and
He knows
that
where
end,
we are.
I appreciate your question in the moment, David, and I'd welcome other folks' thoughts. I have a sense of what I'd like to exert as an influence on the group based on where I think we need to go. I don't know the operations as well as anyone in this room does, so if you have unique perspectives on what you think would work, wouldn't work, what would make your work more fulfilling. I mean, I can't promise we'll sort of all agree on everything, but I'd love that perspective along the way. I thought just to kick off the interim reporting relationships. I try to meet with everybody one-on-one. So if you have questions that you'd rather not share in a group setting, I'm more than happy to engage in those over the next week or two. Just kind of talk through where you're at, what would be useful. I would like to find a leader that is, a real positive in accelerating everyone's work here. So think of it as I don't know if Len was our minimal viable leader, looking for, pre-production or
I'm gonna
live beta.
can I get that on my business card?
Well, we talk about that with startups. I mean, it's a unique skill to start something mostly from scratch. I mean, I think everyone here sort of gets a business card or a mark. I mean, it's intriguing to be involved with something from the very start. And, then as you scale up any venture or idea, it, sometimes takes a different set of skills or just benefits from a different perspective. No offense meant by that designation.
No, take it. No, I sincerely like it. I was just gonna, to add to what you're saying, I hope everybody takes this as a positive that the incubation leadership team has the confidence in everybody here that it can run without a leader in place, until we find a backfill, right? So that we can start to scale it. Not every group could do that, so it's a testament to the people in the room here and on the line and online that we think this is possible at all, right? So it is asking a lot, but there are other folks here to line if you need. And the other thing is, definitely no offense taken on minimal viable leader. I really do like that. If you look at Ben Horowitz's book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, right? He says, I think anybody who hasn't read it, I'd say read it. It's really, really good. But he talks about there are no right leaders for all the stages. There's right leaders at the right time, right? And so I had a lot of fun helping to build this up to where it is. But I'm really embracing the possibility of starting to do some external stuff and some work there. And I think it'd be healthy for somebody to come in from the outside and start to pick up where it is now and carry it to the next few years worth of work. And then it may be somebody else after that, right? I mean, if it's growing rapidly, it's not going to be the same person year to year to year to year, right? It's going to move. It's going as the group evolves, the needs will change, and you'll have different people come in and cycle through it. So
we've talked about that with the group as a whole, because the reality is we get traction with IOUs. Some folks may naturally follow those IOUs, and we'll have some natural turnover and move that way too. I always want to kind of hold a cultural center. I can't depend on the folks at DPAM to have Vertex's innovation culture. You just can't outsource that. So it's always important to have enough connective tissue to bind all those cool outside relationships to what we're trying to do.
Yep.
All right, well, I'll look to set up time with everyone. Really appreciate your support, and my door's open at any time to, you have questions, concerns, even just, thoughts and input. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
That's great.
I'm gonna stick around if you don't mind.
Okay. Do we have somebody in the rotation?
If you need time for a secret debrief, I'm more than happy to leave 10 minutes early.
Was anyone on the rotation to do the OKR meeting today, or I can just go ahead and I'm sharing.
I bet it was one of the
Oh, that's
co-ops.
awesome.
It's not in the,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
anymore.
start. There's going to be new co-ops starting on Monday, so that'll be one of his first jobs.
Yeah.
He can help do that. So as far as the OKRs, find the next big thing, stretch, create a campaign which explores problems and use cases rather than solutions. So that is done because the campaign's been launched and had the launch, and then tomorrow they're going to be handing out candy bars. Take 5 candy bars at the company meeting, so to help promote usage of that campaign, the Stump Innovation Labs campaign. So that one is down as 100%.
Oh, wow.
And let's see. That was mine. So let's go into the labs group. Might have been duplicated. So for commit, find the next big thing. Move the excise tax and HR payroll projects from Campfire to Garage or Exit, and that one's done?
It's already done.
Yep, okay. Move market tax to Lake Garage or Exit. We have that at 65%.
Yeah. So we talked about it in the leadership meeting this morning. We're probably not going to get to the pitch in a decision from the board this quarter.
Right.
So we're probably going to land it at the end at right around 80%, and it carries over a couple of weeks into October.
I'll just move it up
Yeah.
70% at risk.
So nice progress on that, though. I mean, I appreciate
Yeah.
holding ourselves accountable with the OKR.
Well, the nice
Yeah.
thing about this new tool is that we're tracking the percentage completed too, so it's not all or nothing every time, right? So we can say, okay, well, we were at 80-90%, rather than it just being we missed.
Yeah.
It lets you track a little bit better how close you got.
All right, I bumped that one up to 70%, put it at risk. Acquire training data sets from at least 3 companies.
All right, we have legal agreements out to Walmart and to Love's, but they have not been returned yet. But Love's, the tax people are definitely on board, but their legal has to work it out. So
So-
somebody's going to Oklahoma.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of shifted from you could say going on site is the
Yes.
acquisition of a data
Yes,
set.
correct.
And getting to 3 companies at their sites before the end of the quarter is not going to happen.
So is that one? Do we count the one we did get, or?
The dead data set?
No,
No, we're not gonna
Yeah.
count that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just say,
We backed off Love sending us the data to say, we'll come to you. 'Cause
okay.
We just wanted to do them all the same. We didn't have
Yeah.
one data coming in, the rest of them
Yeah.
go visit. It just didn't make sense.
What was the second place you were going to?
Walmart
Walmart.
and Best Buy.
Okay.
So those are the 3 in the lead. And there's 3 more behind me.
So we'll call that one at risk though, right?
Mhm.
And check in. All right, complete 3 lunch and learns. We've done 2, right?
Keith is doing one
Yep.
next week, right?
Right,
Does
yeah,
anyone else?
yep.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm doing one at some point, right, Sherry?
So we got 2.
Yours is in October.
Oh, okay.
All right, there we go. So that one's on track. Okay, that might be the end of the committed ones. Let's see. Decision on major initiatives, supply chain and invoice financing. We said that was a successful incubation zone board decision.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Okay. Just put a percentage at risk.
Yeah, I mean, you could, I don't know how you want to count it. I assume the intent here was, to get the late garage investment, right? You did get the investment in this quarter on
Yeah.
invoice financing, market exploration, and the engagement with consensus to do that.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have put 2 together. I think really what we were
Right.
trying to say is the 2 that were most prominent back at the beginning of the quarter, let's make progress on them.
Yep.
I think that was more what we were trying to say. And progress was determined by decision.
All right.
So we're not waiting on a board decision.
No, we're not waiting on a board decision.
We're waiting to come back,
Okay.
which probably rolls to
Um,
Q4.
So IBM and Caterpillar actions pending.
Okay. All right, so that was similar. Client partner decisions in place or in discussion, so same type of thing. We'll put that at risk. That is the end of the commit goals, then we have to go through the stretch OKRs. stretch. I might have done the other one for my personal one. So the campaign's 100%, 3 projects in Lake Garage, 0.
0.
Okay.
It was a stretch.
Yeah, that one definitely was.
I like that as a stretch. I don't think that ought to be a stretch every quarter, just to try to get them there. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's just talking to someone who runs that innovation program at SEI. She said folks love to play around with ideas and workshops. It's real hard to get them to commit, big dollars and customer interactions.
So then the last one was offer O Series text category advanced search to productivity zone.
So I met with Vince. Vince fired me off to Wes. I sent an email to Wes, hooking me up with Nicholas. Don't know if it happened. Then I sent an email today to Wes to see if it happened, but he's out. So it was offered. It was offered by me to Vince, and Vince said product manager Wes.
Wes.
Lau.
Yes.
Okay.
Wes, LAU. So I'll continue to follow up when he responds to make sure they have a look at it.
We can
Okay.
wait for next week, but you're basically there with this one.
Basically.
Yeah.
Do you want to throw a % complete on that
90.
one?
90.
90. Okay, that'll help our
Assuming we
numbers.
haven't lost the code, that would be the only thing that would stop
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
That would be a bummer.
That would be a bummer.
We had this really great thing.
Honestly,
we
we
did.
did.
It was so close.
All right.
The one that got away, that's it.
It's the end of the labs. And actually the progress is pretty good because they say to try to land at about 70% at the end of the quarter, so we're pretty close. I think that's it for OKRs. Does anyone have any wins from last week? I can go first. Was at Stripe Sessions in San Francisco last week and got to meet in person with Brandon Wells, who used to work at Vertex, and he's very receptive to working with us on the market tax API use case. So we met with Brian Rowland, and he's going to start writing up an MOU. So that was very positive response, as well as just being at the conference. We heard Stripe customers go up to the people at the demo booths and ask, like, where's your tax functionality? Like, just randomly heard people ask about tax. So that was really good validation. So there's a lot of potential there.
I have one.
All right.
So I've had a contact of mine, Brian O'Kelly, who sold first company to Yahoo, called Right Media, for $750 million, I think it was. A little over a decade ago now, so I might be off on that, but it was somewhere right around there. Just sold his second company to AT&T, AppNexus, another ad tech company, for $2 billion. And so he's widely regarded as being the person who invented programmatic ad buying, right? So it completely changed things. So think about ad buying used to be very manual process, just the same way if you want to put an ad in a print magazine, right? You'd start manually calling up people. You'd have an agency who worked for you who would call up a bunch of people and arrange individually booking ads in each of these different places. And it worked the same way digitally. And then he invented this whole process that tied all of these different agencies and marketplaces and supply side platforms and demand side platforms together so that you would do real-time bidding. So you go to look at a web page today, and I am getting to a point that's tied back to us. So just bear with me for a minute here. It is connected to us.
Going into the ad tech business.
Yeah. And so this is why we should start an ad tech company now. So it really reinvented it. And so what would have happen is essentially digital supply chains that were dynamically created in real time. Right? So when you go to look at a web page, right, that request for an ad, right, is a little bit of JavaScript code on the page, goes out and it gets spread out through the whole internet, right? All of your personal information starts getting embedded to it, added to it, right? And then people bid on it in real time, and with, not humans obviously, because it wouldn't happen fast enough, but programmatically will be bid on it with algorithms, and then it comes back, it gets delivered to you, and everybody along the line gets a piece of their cut for the part they played in delivering it, right? So it's a real dynamic creation of supply chains in real time, happens billions and billions of times a day. He now started his next company, and it's outside of ad tech altogether. It's in commodities, in supply chain and logistics. Name of the company is Commodity. And he's partnered up with the head of commodities from Goldman Sachs. So what he's looking to do is really tie together all of these. We've been doing all these supply chain things, Consensus is doing, other people are doing. He's looking to take and use all of these pieces to glue them together in the same way that he did for ad tech. So you would have, imagine, dynamically created physical supply chains. So you would be able to go out and have programmatic buys of copper or lumber or oil or natural gas, and the programmatic buys would dynamically create that supply chain, right? So the thing that wasn't there in the thinking, because never is, nobody ever thinks about it until after the fact, is tax, right? So the second that he announced this publicly, or not the second, but within an hour of seeing the announcement, I reached out to him and started talking about how there was a piece he might be missing. And he replied back minutes later and said, yes, that's really smart what you guys are doing. We need to talk. I got 2 months to stand up, make my first 10 hires, stand up the organization, but we need to talk after that. So look for, I'm going to start putting a project into the dashboard with this. I'll be starting to work on it. It's not anything development-wise we need, although I might be tapping people for kind of expertise around supply chains. Todd, I'm looking at you. David, you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for ideas to be able to put it together, because we need to do a lot of our homework to get ready for this. Come Q1 2020, we'd like to be able to go in there and be the tax people within that platform, that ecosystem, because we're talking about potentially disrupting a $4 trillion industry with virtually all, if he's successful here like he was with ad tech, it will change the way all commodities are bought and sold and delivered, which will be massive implications and a huge opportunity for us. So that was it for me. And I'm sorry for being long-winded. I need to find a way to get more concise in my things.
It's your elevator pitch.
I'll try to tighten it up.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty tall building.
It's not high
Feet
speed.
off the floor.
That's a very cool.
It's like a kid.
Yeah, no,
That's
yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, I think it holds a lot of promise. I mean, we keep looking for that next big thing. This could be one of those next big things, because it's not defensive in nature. We're the ones going out there and would be into a completely new way of utilizing tax technology. Nobody else is there. Nobody else is even thinking about it. So it's pretty huge. And then the volume of transactions would be huge, and the dollar value of the transactions would be even bigger.
I'm already seeing like how like invoice financing and everything would tie into this. I'm jumping way ahead here.
Well, it could.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
certainly the work we did with P&G applies.
Yeah,
the work
yes.
we did with Siemens
Oh,
applies.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the work that Karen's doing with Market Tax all
Yeah.
applies, right? Because you need to be able to validate the invoices that are flowing through the chain after they've been generated, and make sure that VAT and taxes are correct. You need to make sure that when you're bidding, you're taking into account the tax implications, so you make sure you get the value prop right? Because the raw cost is only part of it. You need to figure out what the tax implications are as it goes through this whole dynamically created supply chain. And it all has to happen in split second as people are bidding in real time, because algorithms are doing the bidding. It's all machine learning and AI going out, bidding it, but you need to figure all of that implications of the supply chain, including the tax, as you do that. So,
The algorithms to support the algorithms.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's perfectly lined up with what Stephanie's been talking about going into global trade. So it's perfect. So I had a conversation a couple days ago at the OECD conference. I'm standing next to this guy, introduced myself, and he says he's from BIT. And I'm like, oh, I know your co-founder. We talked a couple of years ago about the stuff you guys were doing in the Caribbean. So what this company BIT has done is they started by helping the banks move money around in the Caribbean, because while the goods could go from island to island, the money had to go to New York and worse than that, with September 11th, they cut them off. And they had no interbank way of clearing money between the small banks in the Caribbean. They were cut off. They were de-risked. They were too risky. They didn't do KYC on the customers. There could be terrorists running around. Who knows, right? And so that's the problem they're solving. So now I had been reaching out to that guy a couple times over the last couple of years, and he hadn't returned my phone calls. I'm like, okay, well. Turns out he left the company. This guy took over. And what they've done is they've signed an agreement with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to provide digital currency for 7 island nations. St. Kitts, St. Thomas, starts to be, anyway, there's 7 of them. And it's signed, right? And he said they've created a vertically integrated solution that goes from issuing digital currency on a blockchain down to a handheld POS device for the merchants to use. It's a parallel currency to the existing currencies right now, but it clears within the 7 island nations digitally in real time. And he said, yeah, tax keeps coming up. They keep asking me what I'm going to do about tax. And I said, well, I think we can help you. I said, I talked to your founder, we talked about this. So anyway, don't know if it's going anywhere, but the first chance to perhaps play at the central bank level to redesign how tax is collected. That would be a bet.
Yeah.
We'll see if it pans out. But he was very interested.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
All right, anybody on the phone?
Colin, you going to show us something?
Yeah, I can show the tool again. Actually, I showed it in the ML sprint planning. Well, I'll show it again today. All right, let me share it. Okay, shoot.
Yeah, we're keeping you busy on your first day back.
Yeah, well, I gotta get back in the spirit of doing some work. Going again after all that relaxation. Okay, let me go backwards. Let me take that deep breakpoint out. I'll do some tweaking on it. So what this is a wizard based around the Microsoft machine learning libraries. I want to test that and see how they work and if they could, what results they would actually come up with. So I got a wrapperful UI around it just because I can, and it makes it easy to work with. So we have a nice little welcome page. Then I can go to do I have 2 options. I can either start from a customer data file, or I can already load a model and go straight to a prediction page. I'll start with a data file. I'll pick a really, really small one, just so you can see it running. And this is the same data that Nick was using, so I just cut down to a small amount just so we can see it running. Next on this, and I broke it. That is interesting. Alright, there's more ways to skin a cat than that. Luckily, I had one I prepared earlier. Alright, so let's start again. Go load the data file. What on earth have I done? Oh, my bad. That's what I was doing. Sorry. Okay. I was actually selecting a data model, not a data file. That doesn't help if you pick the wrong data. I've left it open just to pick up any files, so it's, if I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, it goes wrong. Okay, so pick a data file, I can see it's correctly figured out, it's tab delimited, quote strings, no quote strings in it, so I'm going to pick the headers in first column because you can see them there. One thing I can't detect. I've got next, I'm going to pick my features or addiction columns, so what do we want to predict, what do we want to figure it out from. I'll pick those two. Now I'll load the data. It's only 1,000 rows, so nice and quick. Next, now to train the model, I can split it into two different data sets if I want to. I'll go 100%, 100%. I'll leave it 80-20 for my default. Train the model. Take a few seconds to run. So 10 seconds to train it. I'll validate against the test set that I have. That's tested. It's working at 96% macro accuracy, 80% macro accuracy. What those figures actually mean, I haven't yet determined. I'm still reading the documentation, trying to understand it. Anyway, so now I can go to the prediction page, which is using that model. I could have loaded it and just skipped straight to this page. And if I go pick some data up, let me get some data. I'll actually pick this out of go back to it. Yes, that in. It's only part of description. And there we go, children's books, 93% accuracy. And nowhere in here does it say a book.
Cool. Very cool.
To answer your question, John, I figured out where the featureization options were for setting n-grams and the number of features it should predict on, and I've limited it now down to 2,000, so I'm going to test it out, see if it's any faster. Building a big model, but there's actually a lot of stuff in there, it's just pretty well hidden.
Cool. So you were using a different machine learning library, and you put a user interface on top of it.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
you learned both of them, both the UI and the machine learning model. Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Awesome. So we're thinking
And
we
then
use
you-
this for exchange, but use the old one for going on site,
Yeah.
because it's minimum viable product-ish. And then, if they bite, then we can make rapid progress based on the work he's done.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, look, within 2 weeks, how much you did. Awesome, Colin.
Yeah. That's great.
And you did this while you were on vacation?
No, I did it the week before I was on vacation. I had a start beforehand, but I decided to do it the week before I went on vacation just to see, really try to dig into this library again, and I got it done the week.
I had a sneak preview before you went on vacation.
And what you can see here is it's similar to the TF-IDF algorithm in Python. You can start fiddling around with all the options on this. So stop words is already built in. It's just saying I want to use a regular one. You can actually do custom. You can do it on words, or you can do it on characters. I've changed it to doing it on word estimation, limited to the feature set of only 2,000. Diacritics, numbers, punctuations, everything can be turned on or off. It's a typical Microsoft library. Once you find the features, they're great. It's finding the features and the whole documentation that can take a while.
Cool.
Nice.
So that's it.
Anyone else?
How about
Nice job,
David?
Colin.
David being on the panel.
Yeah.
ICD.
Oh yeah, I guess there's a recording of it. I didn't even realize it was
Yeah,
live streamed.
yeah.
You can see me and Liz,
Yeah.
the CFO of Ripple, arguing with each
Yes.
other.
Yes.
Nice. Did you win?
See that?
Yeah, we have to do that.
Yeah, yeah. We should just do a highlights reel.
There was lots of highlights, yeah. So net, the central bankers were on a panel. Didn't come across well. There were like 5 central bankers. Europe announced, the French guy announced that Europe was not going to let Libra in, at least France wasn't going to let them, so you can figure that Europe will follow. And the European Central Bank is looking to issue their own digital central currency now, just like China.
How do you stop Libra? You just
Make it illegal, I guess. Just pass a law. It's illegal. Counterfeit money. Who knows? I'm surprised. I'm really surprised the government hasn't pulled out the counterfeiting regulations on this whole industry. Anyway, the nature of money is changing very, very rapidly. The guy from Sumito was there. Sasha. They were funded by Thompson a year ago. He said he's working closely with Irish McIntyre, who's the head of product management over at Thompson. So they've already got $50,000 grant from the EU to do blockchain invoice, real-time invoice stuff. So they didn't seem to be making as much traction. Didn't look particularly happy. And he asked a question of the panel about what can we do to make the policymakers get on board with this stuff. So I think he's running into regulatory challenges. And I'll have notes. Alexandra was there with me. We'll set up, we'll provide notes, or maybe other items there that you guys pick up on that you say, hey, we should do something about or look into. There's lots of dialogue.
All right, anybody else? No, I guess we'll see everyone at stand up and then at the meeting on Thursday as well.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go sleep.
Yeah, I used to wait about a day per hour of time change.
Yeah, I got up about 3 o'clock yesterday. Got up at 3 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for using WebEx.
To work out.
Visit our website
Yeah.
at www.webex.com.
It's funny, it's 6:30.
kids were letting me sleep well last night.
Oh, no.
Somebody sick?
No, they went to our bed like I just didn't want to.
Yeah, Sunday nights are tough.
I don't
You
know,
gotta
just
get back
person
in
just
the
days.
swing.
And
Eagles game helped me go to bed early. I was like, I'm not
oh,
staying
but,
up.
oh, I
Such
did
a
not
good
sleep
game.
well.
It was a good game.
Oh my
It was
god!
Exciting.
It was.
I even slept in the lucky shirt from like, the first game. I was doing errands and I didn't get that, and I was like, oh, I never changed into my shirt. It's on this
Nancy
laptop. I'm like,
believed
do you
it.
think I should put it on?
Yeah.
Like, well, it
Yeah.
couldn't hurt. I
Yeah.
had it on and the whole game turned around.
Nice.
So I was like,
Did you
oh.
take it off the end?
No, I slept. I went to bed.
They
I
had it
I don't know what
watched
to-
the first half, and then I went to bed, and I wore the shirt to bed just to make sure.
They,
Yeah, but
won.
the-
They
So you're
impressed
like
me with all
Robert
those
De Niro in
receivers.
Silver Lining Playbook.
Yeah. I don't know what to make out of
So it's not the-
McElroy. He's
so
like,
now I
he
know
missed
it's
that
not the shirt.
one. Like, God, that should be a touchdown.
Yeah, but then they would have came down and scored again at that
Yeah,
rate.
I don't know what to make out
Yeah.
of it.
But then he had a crazy catch.
Yeah.
I survived my pool.